Hey everybody, it is Tuesday, the 21st of May. Today we have two stories I want to talk about. First one is one of the most important things that we need to be talking about right now, and that's internet censorship. I was reading this article from a few days ago by New York Post that talks about Facebook and Zuckerberg specifically uniting with other countries um, to censor voices of dissent. Um, this is a quote from Zuckerberg. The question of what speech should be acceptable and what is harmful needs to be defined by regulation, by thoughtful government. So Zuckerberg, he's made. If you've been keeping up with this topic, Zuckerberg, Facebook, Twitter, Google, Instagram, Pinterest, all of these platforms censor in some form. And they do that as an extension of the government. There is no question about that now. I mean, they're not even hiding it anymore. They're saying that the government, not specifically our government, but they're saying government and people in power need to regulate the thought of their citizens. And for a long time now, Zuckerberg has been doing that through Facebook and through the platforms that they control. And it's already hard enough for us to get the message out because when I post on Facebook, it's not about the always about the ability of me posting the content. It's about people seeing that content that I post. It's like I can say all that I want underwater, but it's not like people are going to hear me above water. You know what I mean? So um, the censorship is getting out of control. We are losing free speech as we know it. Um, now with okay, Facebook is like a public square, and this is partially from this article, and I just really love this book. Facebook's like a public square. It's like a public utility. It's like we have to have Facebook. It's like same thing as having electricity. So when they take their electricity away from certain people, that is, Facebook is turned more into a public utility than a private service. Uh, the ACLU says every time Facebook makes a choice to remove content, a single company is exercising an unchecked power to silence. Now we know that there's obviously financial reasons why they're doing this. They're obviously in bed with the establishment, not just the U.S., but in other foreign governments. The censorship global. All these platforms, they're not just U.S. platforms, they're global platforms. They're being censored everywhere in different ways. Now, okay, the only way that we are ever going to stop this is public outrage. That's it. There's no other way. Same goes for Julian Assange and the end of freedom of press. There's no other way to take this country back. There's no other way. These platforms are silencing our voice so other people won't hear us, so other people won't see the validity of what we're saying. So we have to keep sticking out, keep making videos, keep making memes, keep writing articles, talking to your neighbors, leafletting is great, protesting is great. We have to get out in the streets because we're being ignored. We're being ignored, we're being silenced. And that to me is a true sign that, the end is here. We are reaching a breaking point where something's got to give. Now, let's talk about Assange. Let me pull this up. This was dated yesterday. WikiLeaks stated, press release, Ecuador hands over Assange's entire legal defense manuscript to U.S. prosecutors. What the U.S. wants, this is specifically coming from the U.S., all of his belongings, all of his personal things, everything to do with his entire legal defense could be there. Like things could be there. Now, I'm also getting reports that Rapinson they've made precautions to wipe his computer and stuff. But you never know what they're going to find. You never know what they're going to plant. We definitely know that the U.S. government does plant things, does plant fake evidence. Anything they can do to tip the scales. Assange is, I think, now in his 41 days in jail for allegations of sexual assault. He was put into jail for jumping bail on a non-charge. So he's doing 50 weeks in prison for something that is a non-charge. The case was dropped a few years ago. It was the sexual allegations case was dropped due to lack of evidence. Now they're trying to fire it back up again. Let me read you some of this. Ecuador to hand over Assange's entire legal defense 3 weeks before the U.S. deadline to file its final extradition request for Assange. Ecuadorian officials are traveling to London to allow prosecutors to help themselves to Assange's belongings. If you remember a few weeks ago, his attorneys tried to go back in the embassy and they were denied to get his personal stuff. Neither Julian Assange nor UN officials have been permitted to be present when Ecuadorian officials arrive to the embassy. The material includes 2 of his manuscripts as well as his legal papers, medical records, and electronic equipment. The seizure of his belongings violates law that protects medical and legal confidentiality and press protection. The seizure is formally listed as International Assistance in Criminal Matters 376-2018 WTT, requested by the authorities of the United States of America. This is, essentially this is the Trump administration doing this. There's no excuses anymore. There's no pretending that, Trump just wants him to come to the U.S. to save him. Because that's bullshit, and we all know it. The U.S. government's not to be trusted, and the only way that we can save Assange right now is to donate to Manning too. Look, she's also going through something very rough right now. She's being fined, or she's going to be fined. Let me look it up for you. Fined each day that she's not testifying. I gotta find the right one. I really wish there will be a day where I can just pull up Google and like the first thing few links would be like Wikipedia media or Jordan News. That would be really convenient. Okay. So Chelsea Manning is in jail now for the 3rd time. This is the 2nd time of her being in court for the same issue. She's refusing to testify before a grand jury. It says in a court proceeding Thursday in Alexandria, Virginia. Remember that because that's where they all go. All those being tried under the Espionage Act. Manning was remanded by U.S. Marshal Service and will return to detention. The judge also ruled that she'll be fined $500 per day after 30 days, and then $1,000 per day after 60 days. So, Manning said before, she goes, I would rather, I don't want to misquote her, but she said, she said, I'm not going to testify. Nothing will convince me to testify. So she's saying it to them that, nothing's going to make her testify. So basically putting her in jail and fining her is just, she's going to keep doing it. She's not going to testify. So nothing they do is going to cause her to lose her integrity. So, if you pray for her. If you send good vibes to her. Send money to her. We need to help her defense as much as we need to help Julian, even more so for Manning, because I don't think that she has the resources that Julian might have. Um, and if you can't donate, just take to the street. You know, all it takes is a marker and a poster. Take to the street and tell your neighbors about what's going on. They don't know. Um, you know, I have a sign that says, ask your local media why they lie about WikiLeaks. And I think that's my favorite one so far because it gets people to question the media because the media is not reporting this. It's why I'm here. It's why I'm on this live stream talking about it. It's just not being reported about honestly. um, One person to follow, you can follow Susie Dawson. I think it's Susie 3D. Unity for J is good. They're also on Instagram. Unity for J, Elizabeth Leah Voss, Susie Dawson. Follow them on Twitter, on Instagram. Unity for J also has a huge, massive Pinterest board that you can check out and share. Anything you can do to just get this out because you know we're losing our platforms, we're losing our online voice, and so the only option for that is to keep finding ways around the censorship. And the biggest way is to take to the streets, guys. So I'll leave you with that. Please keep up with this. Keep up with Julian Assange. Just go to Twitter and type in Julian Assange or Chelsea Manning. Stay up to date. That's the best thing that you can do right now is know what's going on. All right. I will be back tonight with another video. See you guys in a little bit.